Welcome back to another episode of the FatmanStephens podcast. Of course, I am your host, Marcus FatmanStephens, and like I said previously, there will not be a wrestling episode. I know you probably are tired of wrestling talk. It's been three straight episodes of the new podcast, and I talked nothing about any other interest besides professional wrestling. Well, we are changing that right now because I am now talking about all things video games. Of course, the 2022 has already been a banner year for video games. Let me just move myself a little closer, get into my face there. It's been a banner year for video games, and today we are talking about all 2022 games that I have played. I'm going to try to do this in release date order. If I miss a release date, let me know. But this is, if you're looking at the video, this is the current stack of games that I have. Spoiler alert, I have not completed any of these. And some of these games have been out for 2 months. Almost going on 3 months, and I have not completed any of these games. So, we're going to be talking about these games in release date order. There's also one more that I digitally that I'll talk about that hopefully that I remember. But let's just get right into it. Video games 2022. Here we go. First up, Dying Light, Stay Human. Sorry, Dying Light 2, Stay Human. I was a big fan of Dying Light 1. Like many other games, like newer games, I didn't beat it. Dying Light 1 came out in 2015, 2014? One of them years. But Dying Light 1 was really good. Dying Light 2 is even better. The free roaming. I'm a huge fan of parkour and free running and things like that. So to be able to beat up zombies with fisticuffs. Also, I'm a big fan of melee weapons and melee combat. I guess that stems from my time in loving beat 'em ups growing up. You know, Streets of Rage 2 being the best beat 'em up ever created. Don't fight me, don't at me, none of that. It's just the best. It's the best one. But from that love, for the love of just running around and open world games, I know a lot of these games on here. Well, not a lot, but a few of them on here are open world. So I get that sometimes it may be oversaturating the field of open world games, but this is really good. I got like 25 hours in it, which is actually a lot considering all these other games. But Dying Light 2 is probably the first big release of 2022 that I got. It wasn't even on my radar at first, but I saw some good reviews and I needed a new game to play, so I picked this up and didn't beat it. So I hopefully that I can eventually get back to it. I'm just one of those people where it's like there's so many interesting games that it kind of just compounds on each other, and it's just like, well, what do I do? But I'm hoping that I can eventually complete it eventually. I haven't played in about a month though, and for me, it's really hard. Once I get out of the game, it's very hard for me to again to pick it up. But I'm hoping Dying Light 2 will be the first Dying Light game I beat, the first zombie kind of game I beat in a very long time. Because I haven't. I also played Dead Island when it first came out, but I have not beat any of the Dead Island games either. Even actually rebuying the newer ones. Of course, I'm recording on a Friday with my window open. I'm not sure. I'm thinking. Um, but Dying Light is. I have never beat Dead Island games either, so I'm trying to at least maybe try to beat Dying Light 2. No promises. I'm just. We'll see what happens. I like the game a lot. When Rosario Dawson, spoiler alert, pops up in like I guess I don't want to say the middle of the game, but it's like probably like the 35% mark. I was kind of surprised. I didn't know she had any involvement with the game. Big Rosario Dawson fan. She's gorgeous. I love her. But I didn't know she had anything to do with the game. So when she popped up, that was a big shocker. But as far as gameplay mechanics, I just like the ability to just being able to run around this desolate city and being able to just upgrade your abilities, being able to do more parkour things or more fisticuffs things. So it's a great game. I had nothing bad to say about it. Actually, with the glitches aside, but it's open world, so you kind of take it with the where it comes. I actually just remember another game I bought, and I forgot that I have here two digital games now, so it's a total of 8 games. So number 2 is Sifu. Sifu came out in the middle, like the start of February. I again was going to buy it, or play it, but it wasn't really on my radar to get right at release. I ended up getting the early edition, and played it, and or no, I didn't. I got the regular edition. I was able to play it for the first day because there was an issue with PSN. I think they released it early by mistake, and I played it, and it's really good. Um, we're in an age where games are souls like. So if a game is hard, it's a souls like, and this has roguelike elements too, where anytime you die, your age kind of goes up, and you have to try to beat these 5 bosses in a lot of time. I'm a huge fan of roguelike games. I'm a huge fan of starting over, but learning from your experiences, things like that. And I think that kind of love kind of stems from gaming from the past, because sometimes once you lost at a game, you have to start all over again. There was no save points. I have a lot of memories of growing up playing games like Castlevania Bloodlines, where you die, and then when you gotta run out of continues, that's a wrap. You gotta start over from the beginning. Also, my one of my biggest memories growing up was when the Dreamcast first came out, and I got Sonic Adventure, and God bless my mom for getting me Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic Adventure, and Dreamcast on day one, $99.99. But I did not have a VMU, so anytime that my lives run out, my continues run out, and that was it. You didn't save. That's a wrap. They weren't internal just yet. So once it was over, it was over. And I remember getting to the end of Sonic's story and losing to, I'll never forget that Sunday where I lost to the final boss and to start all over. And I was just like, well, I was upset, but I was just like, well, let's start again. Let's see if I can actually beat it in one day, not knowing there was other stories. But anyway, getting back to Sifu, I guess that's where my love comes from, and Binding of Isaac, of course, having such a special place in my heart. Kind of introducing me to roguelike games, and going from there to into the Gungeon, then of course like Hades. I guess I know Hades is like the one that kind of put it to the forefront, but there's a lot of other great ones out there too, like Neon Abyss, and then it has my mix of like Metroidvania games as well, such as Hollow Knight and Bloodstained. But Sifu really has it's a whole nother topic for another day of Metroidvanias and roguelikes and those things. Maybe we'll do that in a future episode. But this game is fantastic. I love, again, beat 'em up, roguelike. That's two right there. And you feel like a legit badass. Like when things are formed together correctly, and you'll be able to counter, and then you're not kicking any hits or anything, and you can replay these stages like, my first time I beat the first boss, I was like 50 years old. And I was like, well, I definitely got to replay it. And the thing about Sifu, it rewards you for playing it over and over, because you get certain keys, or you get certain like notes where you can get shortcuts, and instead of going through a whole level, you can just kind of go to the boss. So that way, you're not getting beat up by these minions and things like that, and you can preserve your age. So I went from not beating the first boss at like level 50, or beating the first boss at level 50, or age 50, excuse me, to beating the first boss at like age 22. So it all helps out, because you don't want to be super old facing the last boss. And Sifu again didn't beat it. I got to level 5 and just stopped playing again, because like other games are coming out, and now I haven't played it since February, and I now forgot all the controls. And that's one of those games that if you don't know what you're doing, you're probably gonna have a bad time. So hopefully maybe I can pick it up one day to finish out his revenge quest. The story, like I said, is a revenge story. You want to beat these 5 people who murdered your father in front of you, and then murdered you, or tried to kill you. I like it. I like the upgrade abilities. I like just the general gameplay, to feel. Again, beat 'em up and roguelike together is just fun for me. It's 2 of my favorite genres. So to put them together, it's really good. Sifu's one of the top games of the year for me. But I'm very easy to please in terms of games. So next up, Horizon Forbidden West. For me, the better Zelda game than Breath of the Wild. I know that I always say that, but I truly mean it. Horizon Zero Dawn came out February 28th, 2017. And of course, we know the Switch and Breath of the Wild came out March 3rd, 2017. So actually, it was a 5-year wait for this game as well. But them coming out in the same week and me having more fun with Horizon than with Breath of the Wild. I know, hot take. I'm just sorry. It's just a better game for me. Because it was more what I was looking for his other game. I was really looking forward to the sequel, and this knocks it out of the park. Visually, obviously, load time, things like that. Haven't beaten it yet. I'm about 20 hours in with this game as well. Horizon is the next game I'm going to beat. Is going to be the second game. I already have the game one I want to beat in mind because I feel like I'm close and I'm like addicted to it right now. So we'll get to that. It's one of the games coming up. So it's great. It improves on everything the first one had. Exploration, I'm a big fan of bow play. I'm a big fan of like the mixing of genres where it's like, or mixing of timelines where it's like it's an old time, but it's really like future. And Aloy, I'm Ashley Birch, from Hey Ash, what you playing? Back in the days of YouTube when early days of YouTube and things like that. So I'm really a big fan of her work. Also in Life is Strange. So that just carries on to this game. She does a fantastic job as Aloy. Again, not too far in, like 20 hours in an open world game like that. You probably account for like, for me, 5 to 7 hours is probably just me exploring, doing different things like collecting and crafting and things like that. Try to get my gears to be optimal strength. Another one I haven't played in a long time. Again, I'm focusing on the other games that came out in March, but I'm definitely gonna get back to that. That's definitely Horizon because we know that Horizon is going to be a franchise around for a while. So I want to beat that because eventually Horizon 3 will come out. I don't know how this game ended, so I don't know if there's a cliffhanger ending or if there's resolution to the story. But knowing just things work in threes, right? I'm gonna have a trilogy, so you got to get one more out. But Horizon Forbidden West, fantastic. It's a great start for PlayStation 5 exclusives, or PlayStation exclusives because it's on 4 as well, right? For the year, hopefully we get God of War sometime this year. If not, probably not, honestly. I don't know. Did they even push it back already? I feel like they pushed back something really big that I wanted to play this year. I know Dead Space and Suicide Squad got pushed back to 2023. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, Horizon Forbidden West, love it. Great game. Like I said, fun gameplay, fun being able to take down all these big monstrosities and plan your attacks out and things like that. So definitely we'll get back into it sooner rather than later. All right, another one. Y'all know I like the Japanese RPGs, so hopefully you guys know. If you don't, I'm a big JRPG buff, a big turn-based combat. I'm talking about old school Final Fantasy, old school not old school Dragon Quest, Dragon Quest in general, Breath of Fire, Wild Arms. So anytime a JRPG comes out, especially made by this company, I trust this company who makes this game. This is Monarch for the PlayStation 5. It's also on Switch, I believe, and PS4. I don't know if it's on Xbox. Monarch is like a strategy RPGs, and me and strategy RPGs are like hit and miss. I'm a Shining Force guy. Shining Force and Final Fantasy Tactics. Those are my two. But I will also give respect to Fire Emblem and try to play them here and there. I've never beaten a Fire Emblem game in my life, but I played a majority of them. Anyway, this game, I haven't given that much time to since I bought it. I really played the demo a lot when it first came out, just as a break in between Sifu and Horizon, and I really enjoyed the demo because again, I'm a big fan of demos that allow you to carry over your data from the demo to the main game. Looking at you, Monster Hunter, over in Monster Hunter Stories 2, things like that, where you can just invest like so much time and then pick it up in the main game. So that was where I played most of my time so far with Monarch has been a demo. But what I like with so far was it's more so the company who makes Monarch is Furyu, who has done like Lost Dimension. It also did the Caligula Effect, which I have that up there that I bought this year as well. Barely played it. Caligula Effect 2. But Lost Dimension was a fantastic strategy role playing game that I got very invested in. I don't know if it's because of the visual novel aspect and me being able to play it on the go because that's when I was traveling for far away for work. It could have been a mix of those two. And also like the Who Done It. Everybody talks about Among Us and things like that. That was Among Us before Among Us because it was like, well, even Among Us is based off of Werewolf or Mafia, right? Where you're just like the Who Done It or whatever. But Lost Dimension had that So Lost, that's why Lost Dimension was like me. I was heavily into it. Monarch continues on in that gameplay. It's not as well crafted as Lost Dimension, because it doesn't have that gameplay style, but it's still, or like the visual novel aspect of it. But the turn based combat is still really good, really well done. I really enjoy. I really enjoy it so far. Again, haven't given too much time with it, but I will eventually get back to it. Hopefully one day. Okay, are you guys ready? Because I know this next game, I think everybody and their mama has played it, and I don't 100% know why. Like I get it, but I'm still a little on the fence why everybody's playing it. But it is. I don't want to say it like that because I don't want people to think I hate this game. But I got some strong opinions, hot take on this, and I'm sorry. I'm just right now. Sorry, I only have like a few people listen anyway, but I'm sorry because I'm probably going to offend somebody when I say Elden Ring, the most hyped up game probably of the 2020s. I think so many people want to play this game, and I'm going to tell you right now, I only have about 10 to 15 hours in this game. It did not hit me the same way other From Software games have, like Sekiro. I remember when Sekiro came out, I was all about Sekiro. And, I don't know if it's because, again, my mind's on other different things, like I got so many different games to play, or just work, or whatever, but it didn't hit me like Sekiro, doesn't hit me like Bloodborne or Dark Souls 1. And maybe it's because of the open world nature. Not hating on Elden Ring. I think it's a fantastic game. I think it has everything you would want in the next evolution of a Dark Souls game. Like everything From Software has crafted in the last, since Demon Souls in 2009. It's the next level. It's just give me Dark Souls world. I'm not Demon Souls world was like I think was too linear for me, and I think Elden Ring is too open for me. I like Dark Souls that right in the middle. It's the just right. Because I'm not gonna lie, after you beat the first two bosses in or Elden Ring, which I don't remember their names, I think it's Margaret. Margaret is one of the big bosses you fight. It's like you're wandering around lost. For me personally, and I know some people like that exploration and trying to find out what you do, but and I know you have the golden lines or whatever. I haven't played it. The runes is telling you where to go. But anytime I go to the next spot, I always feel like overpowered, or there's something weird. Or I remember I was just running around on the torrent, and these big crabs came out of nowhere, and when the way they were moving scared the hell out of me. And then you're going a little further. There was a big bear. Like all, I remember I played it the first Sunday it came out. That night I played it from like 1 to 5 in the morning, and I made barely no progress because I don't know where to go. And I'm looking online. I said, okay, what's the roadmap you're supposed to take? That's what I did with the Dark Souls games and Bloodborne. After I got like far into it, I said, what's the roadmap you take to kind of get where you're going? And it didn't really help that much for Elden Ring because it's Elden Ring is so massive. I have not even scratched the surface of Elden Ring, and so I don't really have too much of an opinion on it. Besides that, I think it's too open for me, where it's overwhelming, it's overpowering me, and they're just like Breath of the Wild versus Horizon. For me, there's a better Souls-like game that came out a few weeks later, and I know that's controversial, but Elden Ring is not my favorite game of the year. So far, my favorite game of the year is the next game we're going to talk about. But give me a second to keep going on Elden Ring. Like I said, I don't think it's a bad game, and I do want to eventually get back into playing Elden Ring. From Software games since 2009, or the Souls like games, Soulsborne games, I'm like 75%, 75% completion rate. Demon Souls didn't beat. Okay. Dark Souls 1 completed. Dark Souls 2 completed. Didn't beat Dark Souls 3. Bloodborne completed. Sekiro was completed. That's not even 70%. 4 out of 6. Ain't bad. I don't want Elden Ring to fall by the wayside. I do want to eventually play it, but I feel like that game is going to be last on my list because it is the biggest one of all the games of all the 8 games I'm playing right now, like juggling. I feel like Elden Ring is the one that deserves the most time and attention to detail where you're planning things out. I don't really need that much time and detail with Dying Light 2. I'm not overwhelmed by the world. Horizon not overwhelmed. Monarch will probably be the last one if I'm being real because it's like the worst of the bunch. But man, Elden Ring is so massive, and I know a lot of people love it, and people are going through the speed runs, and I'm trying to stay away from all details. I don't know nothing. I'm sorry, I don't know anything about the game. That's not proper grammar. I don't know anything about it besides like certain bosses. I try to avoid everything. I have some favorites like YouTubers like Jacksepticeye and Gabby Smolders, and I don't watch any of their videos on Elden Ring because I want to be surprised. And like I said, the most fun I had with Elden Ring was the first like stretch when you're going through the castle and you're trying to face Margit and everything. But even still, I felt like I was overpowered. I had to use summons to win to beat up the bosses. And in the Souls games before, like Dark Souls 1 or 2, definitely 2, I barely used summons. I wanted to be the person to be like, hey, I beat it on my own. Like being Ornstein and Smog and back in 2011 when I was a 21-year-old, that's one of my biggest gaming accomplishments to not use a summon. The first two bosses of the game, I had help. So I don't know, just maybe it's just me getting older and just like maybe Souls like games are so all over the place. You know, all over now. Everything's like a Souls game. Maybe I'm just getting out of the genre. Maybe it's oversaturated. But then I play the next game I'm going to talk about, and it's not like that at all because this is like a Souls like, but this is made by Tecmo. What was it Tecmo? Koei Tecmo. Sorry, I forgot for a second. They were together. But the next game on the list, let's get it off Elden Ring, is my favorite game so far of 2022. And it's weird to say that it is a game from this series, but Final Fantasy or Strangers of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin, yo, this game is fantastic. Like, I know when I played the demo, I remember it was last June, right, when they announced the game at E3, and they gave the demo that same day. I played the demo, and I was hooked from them because again, I love hard boss battles where you have to think. Like I felt like for me, Elden Ring, the first two bosses were so overpowering. Like I couldn't figure out their movements at all. But with like Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin, the first boss battle against Chaos Advent, at least the demo version, he was so tough. But I was able to read him, and I was like learning each time, learning each time, learning each time, and I literally like I think I played the game for like an hour and a half, and the demo at least, and just kept playing until I beat it. So that was my thing. Like I was okay with that, and then the next demo came out, and it was easier. And then the main game, the first boss, he's super easy now. I guess because I mean, I don't know if they nerfed him or whatever, but he's definitely the hardest in the first demo. But Stranger of Paradise mixes everything good about Neo and Demon Souls into Final Fantasy into a melting pot, and it's just a fantastic game for me. I know a lot of people are like, I don't really care about the story. Let me just be real honest right now and say I don't give two damns about the story. It's all about the gameplay for me, and just being able to hack and slash and then be able to change my class, doing the soul burst. Like it's such everybody saying it's such a 2000s game, but that's okay with me. I love 2000s games. Give me more card-based shooters, generic card-based shooters, beat 'em ups like that. You know, give me God Hand too. I gladly play that. I was a big fan of No More Heroes 3 when it came out last year, and so Stranger of Paradise is so fun. I just like being able to mold Jack into who I want, like a certain character. Right now, for I think I'm near the end of this game. I don't really know if it is the end, but I'm nearing the end. Um, yeah, I'm nearing the end of the game, and I'm a berserker and a paladin right now, so I'm flipping back and forth. Berserker is like my main damage class because Zanzetsu, like if you charge that up on any boss, takes them out. It really takes down their stagger bar. That's not, I think it's the break gauge, right? Break gauge, stagger bar. I'm playing Dark Souls, but the break gauge so much that they can never recover. Um, so that's what I usually do for the bosses, and then paladin I use for to get your HP back up when dire needs. I think I'm near the end. We just spoiler alerts. We just beat Astos, and he turned into like the Omega weapon, whatever it was. So I'm feeling like we're near the end. We're getting closer to the end. So I think Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin is now my main focus. Is the first game to beat for me. But I really I love it. It's the best game of the year so far. I just love stupid action games, stupid fun games like this. Elden Ring makes me think too much. Um, Horizon is more story based. This is just a mindless action game, just saying, hey, action RPG. Hey, you have all these classes at your whim. Here's all this loot. Mix and match. See what you like. Have fun. That's all I needed. That's all I wanted. So thank you. Also, I'm sorry. Actually, next game, just because the other game came, I played it before this game, and it technically, if you bought the deluxe edition, you played it first. Ghostwire Tokyo. Ghostwire Tokyo was one of those games that when it was first announced, I was instantly interested in. As the years came by, you start seeing more gameplay for it. Okay, Ice Cream Man, thank you. Dun 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 dun. Like my house is shaking because of that. Anyway, Ghostwire Tokyo mixes. Well, it's by Tango GameSoft, Tango Studios, right? Known from Evil Within, and Evil Within 1 and 2 are fantastic. And it's first person, like a little bit of horror elements. Like first person shooter kind of, and it works. It's really fun. It's super fun. Um, I think gameplay wise, I think also because it's a PS5 exclusive, I'm like more on it than these other games. Like same thing with Deathloop. Like I did not think Deathloop was going to be as good as it was last year. Like Deathloop might be one of the top games of last year in terms of me just getting like super involved in it. Like I bought it on a Tuesday. I beat it that Saturday. I was that heavily invested in that game. But even now, it's like Ghostwire Tokyo is just fun. It's another fun one. Being able to just do all the hand movements and uh, getting stronger and better so I can get the cores out of them. And there's so many different ways to play it. It's such a fun experience. Just a good first person game. I don't know if you could classify it as a first person shooter, but it's giving me like Breakdown vibes. Y'all remember Breakdown on Xbox? Whew, Namco, bring that back. I need a remastered version of a remake of Breakdown for the original Xbox. It's giving me that kind of vibes, and it's like an action adventure first person game, where it's not conventional, and that's for me. If I'm going in order of games, actually, I want to beat like priority in terms of because I think how I know how either easy it is or how far I'm in. For me, number one again is Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin. Then it's Ghostwire Tokyo. I'm sorry. Then it's Horizon. Then everything else kind of falls to the wayside. Elden Ring. I can live with not beating Dying Light 2 and Monarch if I can beat Elden Ring, which I don't think I'm going to. But we're gonna try our hardest. We're gonna get back into it soon, because now we're on like a leeway. Like there's not really too many big games coming out. I think the first half of the year was so packed. The first quarter of the year was so packed. Now that I can kind of rest, I don't have too many games coming. I bought games like I bought like Underknots for the PS4, which is Experience's next dungeon crawling RPG. They did Stranger of Sword City, which I really liked. Sapphires of Savior City. What's it called? I don't know. I have it on my Switch, and Demon Gaze and all that. So, they're just there for games to play eventually after I beat it. Other games, but now that there's no other distractions, no other games coming out. I feel like I can focus on the games I have to beat them. And there's one more left that I bought on a whim because it looked cool, which was Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which is part of the Borderline franchise. Borderline franchise has been around for a very long time, 2009, 2010. But just like a lot of the other games, I've never actually. It's one of the one series that I have not beaten any of the games in. It's like Assassin's Creed where I play them all, but I haven't beaten it. I don't beat any of them. At least Assassin's Creed I beat 1 and 2. But with this game I have not beaten Borderlands. Have not beaten any of the games. I really just bought it because it was fantasy. It was a first person shooter, and I heard the humor was really good. I haven't played too much of it. I think it's fun. I think it's gonna be a nice little like. Downer game after I beat like Stranger of Paradise and Ghostwire Tokyo and try to get through Elden Ring or something like that. I've only played for like 3 hours so far. Ghostwire Tokyo I got like 10 hours in, so they're both fun first person games. I don't have too much to say about it because I haven't played too much, but it is a part of the list of games that are taking up all my time. and all my money. But now I'm happy that, again, we're in sort of a layaway for video games. I don't think there's any big games, like I said, coming out. They haven't announced anything for the summer. E3's canceled. So I think the only game I'm going to get this month that I really want to play is Wii Sports. I'm not Wii Sports, Nintendo Switch Sports, because I want to play bowling with my family again on the Switch. It's been a very long time since we played like a bowling. So I think that's the only game I'm going to be playing this month or getting. And of course, anything that comes on Game Pass, I'm always going to give a try to. I was playing, darn it, what's the game called? It's called like Conquest something. It's like Slay the Spire. It's like a card-based, turn-based RPG. And I played it. I tried to play it on my computer, but my computer couldn't run it, my laptop. And then I played it on Xbox. Finally, it came out like a few weeks ago, and I got hooked on that game. I played it all Sunday night, whenever it was. I played for like 3 to 4 hours. It's so good. It's so addicting. I love card-based, turn-based games like that. So I'll definitely give that more a try. So anything that comes on Game Pass in the next few months, I'm definitely going to give time to. But I don't think right now there's any like releases for anything super big that I want. There's some JRPGs coming out. There's like Metal Max coming out. I think it's in June or July. Of course, you have Gotham Knights all the way in October. That's 6 months away. It's near my birthday, so I'm not super like hyped just yet. The Quarry by people who did Until Dawn, is coming out in June, so I'm definitely going to play that. But that's more of an experience. Like, I'm definitely going to beat The Quarry because it's a movie kind of experience. But go ahead. All right, so now we're done. I got about half hour of me talking about video games. I did it. Woo, woo. I'm very excited. I didn't really get too much details on why I like the games, but I'm glad that we were talking about gaming a little bit. So again, follow the podcast on all the podcast channels. Are on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, Deezer, Overcast. It's just the FatmanStephens podcast. FatmanStephens is all one word. And you can also follow me on Twitter. It is FatmanPodcast90. I'm interested to know what your favorite game has been of the first 4 months of 2022. I know a lot of you want to sell Elden Ring, but I'm also looking forward to other responses. Another game I really liked this year that I played, Young Souls. Didn't really play too much of it. I like 4 or 5 hours in, but it's a great hack and slash beat 'em up game with RPG elements. Thank you, Game Pass. Best value in gaming. But hit me up on Twitter. Let me know what your favorite game is. What you want me to talk about next? Should I talk about my favorite games of all time? I did like a blog post on that a very long time ago, but I haven't really talked too much about my favorite games of all time here. So maybe that's something we can do in the future. But that's for me to think about. And until next time, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the FatmanStephens podcast. And we'll see you again next week. Goodbye.